So this right here is my Syracuse buddy. He did not enjoy the game quite as much as I did. Here, you go ahead and you hold that L. Oh, okay. All right, well, that'll have to do. Anyways, a 38-10 victory over the Syracuse Orange. The fruit, frick you, Fran Brown. Where do we even start? I know there's going to be the crowd that says, Coop, Miami didn't cover the spread, so it wasn't that great of a victory. And I will admit that it was not a dominant win. I do not consider it that because you put up 0 points in the first quarter. Now, neither does Syracuse. It was 0-0 in the first. But it's only 14-0 at halftime, which is disappointing when you look at the reason for that. Miami had one drive offensively where they scored some points, and then they had a pick six. So I know that we're nitpicking a bit, but 14-0 in the first half against a bad Syracuse team was definitely disappointing. And we're lucky, just being real, that Syracuse is not a team that's capable of taking advantage of that with the slow start for Miami. That cannot continue to be a problem. Thank you, Shannon Dawson, for finally mixing it up at least a little bit, especially in the second half. We saw some play calling that was not so predictable. And guess what? It worked. We saw some creativity. We saw a little bit of trickery, but not so much that it, was gimmicky. Who would have thought in this game, at the end of the Syracuse game, sit down with me here for a second. There's no shot that you would have believed me if I told you that Carson Beck caught a pass for a touchdown this weekend, and so did Mawanoa. And that's where we talk about being so unpredictable. There's no way that Syracuse had any sort of game plan in place for that. No way they saw that coming. That was beautiful. I absolutely love the play calls. And it's why I continue to say that I want Miami to be more aggressive. I don't want it to be to the point that we're relying on those types of plays, but it's much more fun to watch. The players obviously enjoy it a lot. And, it worked. It worked. And I got to talk about Gerard Pringle here for just a minute. I know we've been a little bit down and out with Fletcher not being able to play, but, bro, I'm about to the point that I'm Pringle over Lyle. And it's not even hate towards Lyle. Maybe if Dawson continues to call a little bit different of a game with the run plays, maybe Lyle is a little bit better of a fit. But I was pretty happy with the performance from Pringle. He led in yardage tonight at 55, and he had a touchdown. And, Marion in triple digits, 116 yards off of just 3 receptions. And the sacks, man, 7 sacks in this game finally hit home. Miami was bringing a ton of pressure in this game. You know that Syracuse is struggling in that quarterback room. And early on, it wasn't quite getting there, but then it really started to add up in the second half. I'm sure that Syracuse D-line was gassed, and they were struggling a little bit. They were definitely tired, and they started racking them up. Overall, just still not a complete game. I really, really would love to see Miami play 4 full quarters, complete domination. And I'm not beating my chest over the Syracuse win. I know so many comments, and please go ahead and leave them. It's fine. But I know there's going to be so many comments that say, man, I can't believe Coop is enjoying this win. And it's Syracuse, bro. What are you talking about? Well, if we were talking about a loss right now, I guarantee you this comment section would be popping off with people trolling us and giving us a hard time, just like it was against SMU. So yes, I can be happy that we won. Yes, I can acknowledge that Dawson actually did dial up some plays that put a smile on my face. Beck, I don't know, man. You have those throws like that dot to Marion where you thread the needle between the defenders. But then it almost looks like when he does have pressure on him that he just goes into full-blown panic mode instantly. And he had a couple of just boneheaded throws once again this game. And it's, 0 picks. He threw for 247 and a touchdown. You win by 28, but there's still sometimes I'm watching Beck and I'm scared for him. But overall, man, I mean, we did what I expected Miami to do against Syracuse. And I'm going to plug up a picture right here. It's a picture of the TV screen that I took from my phone during the watch party. So forgive me for the quality here. But I absolutely loved this. I don't know the full context here. Nobody knows what was said unless you were down there on the field. But I noticed, Fran Brown possibly running his mouth a little bit. He was jawing it up. And I saw some direct eye contact there, with Mario Cristobal. And I loved seeing Mario not back down. He didn't cower. He didn't just turn his head and go to the sideline. Heck, it looked like he was walking towards Fran Brown. And you got refs coming over saying, whoa, hold up a second. And that we want to see that from Mario. I want to see the fight. I want to see the emotion. I want to see him let it all out, his frustrations. And I don't mind that. I love it. As a matter of fact, actually, we talk all the time about where's the Mario Cristobal that was on the sideline chewing guys out way back in his early days at Miami when he was talking to the guys in, I think, the Bethune-Cookman game. Where's the Mario Cristobal at that, in those Oregon games when he was ripping into players? Who cares what anybody else thinks? And I love seeing that emotion from him in that game because frick Fran Brown. So I absolutely loved that. 3 turnovers for Syracuse obviously was very costly. I mean, we had 2 picks plus the crazy one, where it might have hit the ground, but then they called an interception and it ended up not hitting the ground. But, crazy concentration there. He didn't even realize it was it Thomas? Let me double check. It was Thomas and who was the other one? Scott. Yeah, but whenever he didn't realize that he had picked it off, and everybody else was like, "Run, come on, bro!" Like it was just so funny. But so we had the 2 picks. You had the fumble. Great ball security from Miami. No turnovers by the Canes and less penalties. 5 penalties for 54. I think you had 2 or 3 in the first half. And then you settled in there in the second half. You can't really complain with that. It helped Miami out a lot, but they were piss poor on third downs, especially early in the game. 3 of 9. That also has to be better. I think maybe, I don't want to jump the gun here. I think maybe we're finding out why JoJo Trader had not seen the field more often. And it's no hate. And he can continue to improve. And I want to see him be a Miami Hurricane, obviously, and keep playing. But it seems like maybe JoJo is a tad inconsistent. To be fair, I will say we have a very small sample size to work with in actual games, But there are times where it's like, this guy, why is he not on the field more? And then there's other times where he's just dropping the easy balls. So he's got to be more consistent. And maybe that is a little bit of a reason why we weren't seeing him as much. But defensively, overall, you give up the one late, but it looked like Miami had pulled all, or at least most of the starters on the defensive side of the ball. Syracuse, ends up scoring to make it 38-10 instead of 38-3. I know for Malinois, I'm so happy for him. To be able to say that you caught a touchdown pass. And I think Beck had actually made it a point, it looked like, to keep the ball, to give it to him. Upshaw only had 1 reception, but boy, he made it count off of that screen pass, didn't he? He got his butt right upfield, and he gained 41 yards. Just a fun game. I actually had a smile on my face for at least the second half. Maybe not quite as much early in the second quarter, with the 14. It was winning is priority numero uno. That is the most important thing. But it is also nice to enjoy the game a little bit. I wasn't pulling my hair out the entire time. It was a little more fun to watch offensively. Guys were flying all over the place on defense. We're racking up sacks. We're getting picks. We're forcing fumbles. It was a much more fun Miami Hurricanes game to watch. And I know people are going to say, Coop, that's silly. I don't care about if it's fun or not. I just want to win. But it's nice when you do get to have both. Now, it was unacceptable to give up 100 and how many rushing yards? 161. So Syracuse did outgain Miami on the ground. So that's kind of tough, but 38-10. Thankfully, right? Because I'd made a comment several times. I said there's no way Syracuse wins this game, no matter how bad Miami might be playing right now or struggling in different areas. There's no way that Syracuse wins this game. Miami will not lose to a fruit. And I said, heck, if they do, I'll shove this bad boy where the sun don't shine. Well, thank goodness we don't have to upload a video of that, because this channel would probably get deleted if I were to to put that on the internet. Let me know your thoughts, your kind of quick reaction, your takeaways from this game. We'll break it down a little bit more maybe tomorrow and on Monday before we move on to NC State. I just like to give instant quick reaction. It'd still be nice for the tight ends to be targeted a little bit more. I think you had Lofton with 1 catch, and I don't know. Poor Bauman, the hospital ball from Carson Beck to him, and he just got sandwiched and just absolutely obliterated out there. But that would still be something that I feel like I would like to see more of. I don't have major complaints minus the slow start in the first half. And it felt like, that maybe it should be panic mode there early on. It was red alert mode with the fan base. But we saw a couple more outside runs, and what do you know, it seemed like it worked. And I hope that they continue to build off of that. I hope they look at the film and they say, you know what? This does work. That did contribute to this win, the 38-10 victory. And just give me your open and honest thoughts. I always forget so much stuff because it's a literal instant reaction. I just hit end stream probably 2 to 3 minutes ago, and then I picked up my phone and just started talking. So usually then I sit down and I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention this big moment. And that's what the comment section is for. So you guys can be like, man, I can't believe this happened. But 7-2. 7-2 is a heck of a lot better than 6-3. They continued throughout the game to show the CFP chances and the ACC championship chances. I think it was 4% chance for conference championship, 8% chance for the CFP. You just got to put your head down and win at this point. Miami has removed themselves from the driver's seat, and it is what it is. It can't be changed now. So you just got to make sure that you put your head down, you grind, you win the rest of the games, and NC State's not going to be a pushover. They have a quarterback. Syracuse didn't. But I'll say it one more time. Frick you, Fran Brown.